Good evening, everyone. Chair James, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Tom. Can you hear me?
Yes. Would you like to do a mic check, please?
Sure.
Here we go. Chair James, of course.
Here.
Vice Chair Salvino. It may be too soon. Maybe I jumped the gun.
Okay, I'm here. I'm here.
Very good. Board Member Davis. I don't see her. Yeah, I do. Board Member Davis.
Here. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Llewellyn.
Here.
Thank you. Board Member Odman.
Here.
The CRA Director Chen.
Here.
And City Attorney Ansbro. Attorney Ansbro.
I just spoke with him. He's here.
Yes, I see him on the screen. I mean his box. Thank you all.
Thanks, Tom.
I need coffee. I need a mug. I need a mug. My glass. Either thing. It's gotta be 5:30. Oh, maybe. I'm gonna eat my food. I don't know where.
All right, everyone ready? see. Change view. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to our Dania Beach Community Redevelopment Agency Board meeting, our virtual meeting. Today is November 9th. It is 5:30. Call the roll, please.
Chair James,
Here.
Vice Chair Salvino,
Here,
Board Member Davis,
Here.
Board Member Llewellyn,
Here.
Board Member Odman,
Here.
CRA Director Chen,
Here.
City Attorney Ansbro.
Here.
Thank you. First, we will have citizens' comments. If you are an attendee and you would like to address the CRA board, I will ask you to use the hand tool. I did receive one, and that is from Pastor Paul Wiggins. See if he's or Reverend. Can you hear us? I think
Yes, I
you're
can. Can you hear me?
okay. I can.
Well, good evening, Reverend Paul R. Wiggins, 321 Southeast 3rd Street here in Dania. Chair James, Vice Chair Salvino, members of the board and staff, thank you for this opportunity just to share some comments this evening. I just want to raise a concern. I was looking at the executive director's report and recommendations, and I'm somewhat confused as I look at this thing, particularly as it relates to trying to understand the $75,000 lost revenue cost. I'm not certain what that is and how you calculate that. And then I'm curious regarding the overall program, because that seems to move away from original plans to continue with that list of people that we had in the waiting list from round 2. So as I was reading the document, it seems as if there's a conscious decision to move away from the original CRA plan, as opposed to gravitating toward and doing more work, particularly on the housing side. And then I'm looking back over the course of the year, and I'm not seeing a creative focus on the CRA, but a lot of things happening on the periphery of the CRA. And I would certainly love to see a change in the level of activity. It's been a year since our current executive director has been on, and I haven't seen any new projects in what I like to call the belly of the CRA. And until I can see something, or the community can see something substantial moving in that area, I'm personally, saying I will offer a vote of no confidence in
Reverend.
that particular area. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Next, we have Jonathan Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and to the other board members. Jonathan Thomas, 180 East Dania Beach Boulevard, the city of Dania Beach. I am driving, so hopefully my connection is good and you all could hear me clearly. I am echoing the sentiments of my colleague, Reverend Paul Wiggins, as we together have worked with the other community leaders who own land, a considerable amount of land in what we call the belly of the CRA department. And so just looking at the housing for phase 2 of the at-home Dania, and the proposal to build more houses, which is great, but not building them for the affordable housing. I get the fact that things have changed. It's been a year. We're in COVID. Prices are kind of high, but I wanted to see if, can you all hear me? I'm sorry. Okay, I wanted to see if Director Chin was able to explore other options. I get that you're saying that there will be a loss of revenue. Is that just me hearing that, or? Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I get that there will be a loss of revenue, and I'm guessing with the new cost of everything. So my question would be, have we explored other options as far as connecting with other organizations to maybe provide or to cover that gap that the CRA would be losing? Because my focus would be, I mean, I get the fact that funds will be lost in essence, but is there other avenues that have been explored to kind of cover that gap, other organizations that may suffice to kind of help with the loss that you're talking about when you consider the loss? Because I'm guessing that's the reason, the only reason that you would move to market rate versus affordable. So that was my concern. Hopefully we can get some clarity on that and see what can be done to further benefit that community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Are there any other attendees that wish to address former Mayor Grace? Can you, says talking permitted. Can you
Can
unmute
you
your
hear me?
phone? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is Bobby Grace at 110 Northwest 8th Avenue in the great city of Dania Beach. I am definitely one of those people that have been keeping my eye on what we're supposed to be doing with the CRA. And of course, the last year and a half, we have been doing absolutely nothing that I can see that has been coming forth. One of my major concerns is to make sure that we stay focused with affordable housing. It is doable. Trust me, I know it's doable because I've been able to do it in the city of Dania Beach. There are funds out there that we can reach out to people and try to allocate to make sure that we keep the prices down. The impact fees and the permits are over $30,000 now, so we really don't want to even consider factoring that in. I am very concerned about the movement, even though we have not been having meetings in person, but I think that we should be more farther along than we have been with the CRA direction as to building those homes. And it really bothers me that there has not been any movement in the last year and a half, and I'm very concerned about that. I would like to keep those homes affordable. I would like to keep them in the CRA because that's exactly what the CRA is about. It's about the community that it was designed for. And I'm hoping that we will be able to move it along real soon. And if we have people in leadership roles that are not able to move it, then we need to find someone who can. Thank you so much.
Thank you. With no one else, we'll move along. We're going to go a little bit out of order. And before we hear the administrative reports, we are going to move into the patch presentations. Will you be presenting? I'll be presenting them, but will you be speaking about it, Director Chin?
Sure, I can introduce you to the subject. Good evening, Chair James, Vice Chair Salvino, and board members. The Dania Beach Community Redevelopment Agency wishes to recognize our consultants and partners who excel at their work and demonstrate dedication and commitment to go above and beyond the call of duty for the patch. In fact, that would be suggestion that they exemplify the RISE standards that have been adopted by the city. These persons carry out their project task with enthusiasm and a willingness to support the CRA and by extension, the city of Dania Beach. And with that, Mayor, if I may turn it over to you for the presentations to Jaime Castro and Natalia Earl.
Thank you. I just would like to present Jaime Castro and Natalia Earl with these lovely flamed awards, crystal awards. I'll read them. It says, in recognition of your dedication and commitment to sustainable urban farming, the patch has been such a near and dear project to this community and an educational tool when we talk about healthy eating and sustainability and educating this area for sure, which has a prevalence in, diabetes and high blood pressure and things of that nature. And so I've seen the patch staff tirelessly work day in and day out in the sun, doing the dirty work. And I want to commend them. And this is a beautiful, beautiful little trophy. I have both of them. And Mr. Shin, how do you want to get that to them? You want me to put this back in my mailbox?
If you'd like to do it there, we'll pick it up tomorrow and see that they get to the recipients.
Okay, and this is the one from Natalie. It's the same exact thing, but to the viewers out there and the people who are watching, definitely love, love, love our patch workers and their dedication and their hard work. Thank you. And now we'll go to administrative reports. Mr. Shin.
Okay, and thank you for your recognition of our hard workers. Want to start with the Dania Beach Innovation Ecosystem. For those of you who aren't aware of it, we actually launched the second series of our Dania Beach Business Academy. The theme of this program was Essential Tools for Business Success. There again are 4 sessions, with the first one being the CRM software systems. This is how to manage your customer relationships. Another way of saying this, how to maximize your relationship with your customers. The second program was how to tell the story of your business with video. The third session was how to develop a website with punch and attraction to your customers. And the fourth, which is this week, this Thursday, is how to unleash the power of Google tools. And with this program, we've been averaging somewhere between 30 to 35 participants. We have been able to attract people from 9 different states and 2 different countries in this series. So again, we feel that it's getting a very good following for a new program. Dania After Dark, I want to bring you up to date on just a couple of things. A lot of these were somewhat touched upon when we talked about the contract and so forth with the production services consultant. But the Dania After Dark event will be held on the second Saturday of each month, except for December, and which means the December is going to be on the first Saturday, which is December the 4th. I will send you calendar notices for all of the Dania After Dark events so that you'll see this and to be reminded of it, especially the difference with the December event being on the first Saturday. Part of what we're going to be doing, again, trying to generate more attendance and more enthusiasm on the program, we'll be doing themed events. So the December 4th event is going to be themed with basically welcoming the holidays to Dania Beach. We will have a Santa Claus photo op for our residents. And in fact, I think it would be really nice to get a picture, a photo op with our entire commission with Santa Claus. We will be doing other seasonal themes as appropriate. So we'll be doing things like Easter. We'll do special things for that. July will be Independence Day recognition. Halloween, probably photo ops with the Great Pumpkin. Thanksgiving. those types of things. Again, with the idea that it makes it a broader and deeper experience for our residents and our businesses to attend. And then the last thing I want to remind you of is that Atlantic Studios, who is our consultant, this event is now going to have a main tent as kind of an added protection against inclement weather. It will be a 20 by 60 tent. It'll have lighting, chairs, tables, and seating, and so forth. It will serve as simply a resting place, but also it serves as a shelter in the event of rain that was unexpected, or let's say perhaps something that snuck up on us that we didn't have advance notice of. Economic development activities. We continue to work with our businesses to recognize grand openings and so forth. You have already received notice that the Sprouts Market in Dania Point is going to open on December the 1st. They will have a 10:30 a.m. Ribbon cutting ceremony. We're also doing a little extra with them. We are talking with management in Arizona, and the idea is to see if the Sprouts Market would like to carry fruits and vegetables that are produced from the patch. And it'll be a way for them to deliver fresh, organic, non-GMO produce. And at the same time, it is a place for us to gain recognition for our patch activities. We were successful in developing a back-to-school book bag program. We were able to obtain approximately $2,000 worth of school supplies from Walmart. And those were handed over to the Parks Director, Eric Brown, for after-school programs and maybe even Christmas holidays. The Broward Office of Economic and Small Business Development is the county's focus on small business and business assistance countywide. We had a long conversation with the director of that program, who is Sandy McDonald. We briefed Sandy on our marine industry training and education program and the reimbursement that we have with that, as well as our exploration of perhaps expanding that program to some additional industries. The Office of Economic Small Business Development has pledged to us that they will promote our program countywide just to get it attention and perhaps get us some applications for that program. Should also remind you that that office under Economic Small Business Development, they also have oversight of the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance, the Federal Disadvantaged Business Program, airport concessions, and county business enterprise and small business enterprise programs. And we will work together. And in fact, I would expect to see that we will do a program in our Dania Beach Business Academy to where we will provide an opportunity for Broward County to introduce all of their small business support programs via our platform of the Dania Beach Business Academy. We continue to support Port Everglades Association. We were able to secure 2 one-night hotel stay certificates from the AC and Marriott hotels at Dania Point. And the Port Everglades Association can use those for raffle prizes at their annual golf tournament or for other fundraising activities. The patch is having a soft reopening. We're trying to make sure that we're trying to get them back into the public eye as quickly as possible, but also want to make sure that we're not putting them into jeopardy with I guess, jumping in too quickly. On Saturday, November 13th is Nursery Day. Mr. Javier Deruz from Renewable will make a presentation on composting activities. On November 20th, the Patch Fall Market will be open, and Mr. John Coldwell of Urban Beekeepers will provide a beekeeping workshop. The Patch has launched the CSA program, which is the Community Supported Agriculture Program. It's nicknamed Patch in a Box. It's an opportunity for the community to invest into the patch and receive monthly boxes of produce as a return on their investment. And it's also open to people who utilize the SNAP and EBT programs, and that Patch in a Box program will be available to them at a 50% discount. Now, we have created promotional flyers on this, and we have circulated them to all of you, our CRA board, in hopes that you might like to join the program. Those flyers have also been circulated citywide to the staff of City Hall. And it is also being broadcast over both the CRA and the city's networking platforms, Facebook and email networks. So we're trying to make sure that our community is well aware of this program and has a chance to participate in it and both support and benefit from the patch. And then the final piece of this is the vertical hydroponic gardening pilot program that I've mentioned to you in the past. I did get an initial response back from the Florida Department of Agriculture regarding our grant applications. They asked for some additional information. This has been provided to them and so forth. And then meanwhile, we had the opportunity, because as time goes on, we're able to solidify our relationships and partnerships with people to do this. So in that return information, I was able to include a letter from the FIU Agroecology Program, which is endorsing this pilot program that we put together and actually stating they look forward to partnering with us for this program. We were also able to include a letter from the executive director of the Urban Health Partnerships, again, with them stating that they endorse our program and looking forward to working with us in collaboration for the pilot program. So I consider these to be very strong support letters and the type of thing that I typically expect grant programs are interested in, a diversified group of supporters who are willing to be part of our program. And in this section, the last piece there is a copy of the flyer for the Patch in a Box program that I just mentioned to you. And that's the administrative report. Any questions?
Seeing as there are no questions, we'll move along to the consent agenda. Do we have any pulls? Do we have a motion in a second?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great, we'll move right along to discussion and possible action. This is just a follow-up for trying to bring something to the table as far as the CRA and our projects. And so I'm bringing forth the decorative crosswalks, something that we already have worked on and it was approved before in the budget. And I'm sure that the CRA had already done a lot of the legwork in talking to FDOT and the county or whoever they needed to speak to in regards to this. So the mentioning were the two places were going to be Dania Beach Boulevard, right by City Hall and Federal Highway, and Northwest First Street and Federal Highway. Those were the two that we were going to start with. And we wanted to do more than that, but it was cut short because of budgeting and funding. And so that's my first project that I'm bringing to the table. Board Member Llewellyn?
Yes, I'm all in favor of doing decorative crosswalks. I think that they're a lovely addition to the city, and I think that they do help with mitigating traffic and speeding and that sort of thing. However, when we initially discussed this, we did not have an art and public places fund in place. We do now, and I think it would make more sense to put this under that aspect of things so that it's funded without going through taxpayer dollars and instead goes through the funds that we receive from the developers when they do and they have to donate to the Art in Public Places format. So otherwise, I don't have an issue with it. I just think that we need to reconsider where the funding comes from. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to respond to that, my item isn't to discuss the funding, just if we want to do the project or not, and then that'll be up to staff to get the different funding resources. And so if we say we want to approve this project, then we can direct Mr. Chin to go and see how we can get it funding through AIPP.
But I think the AIPP does not go through the CRA per se. It actually is a city project. So that's why I'm not sure that we can approve it. Let me just finish, please. I don't think we need to approve it under CRA. I think it's something that really needs to go under the city. And that's,
well, I'm going to keep it under the CRA because this was a CRA project. The CRA was just to work hand in hand with the city. I am okay with that. But this is a CRA project. We can't say every project that can be afforded by AIPP, send it that way. It's no longer the CRA's, give it to the city. I think that there's an opportunity for both the CRA and the city to work together, just as I have another topic for discussion on the city's agenda where I am recommending that the CRA and city sit together. I mean, we share almost the same staff. I don't see a problem with Executive Director Chin figuring this out, as that is his job to figure out how to get it funded so we can move along. Board Member Ottman.
Yes, thank you. I'm trying to think which I want to address first. First of all, so just so you all understand about the Art in Public Places Fund, it's not going to work like this. Like, it's not going to be every time one of us has an art project where we send it to AIPP. Please hold. That it can just go to Art in Public Places. It's not like a fund we can keep grabbing out of. Eventually, you're going to be presented with kind of like a master plan of the art. So I thought that this was a very reasonably priced, maybe because I'm just thinking of the two when we first had looked at it, but I don't remember what the expense of it was. So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work out going that way. But I guess, like you said, it's up to Mr. Chen to go find those funds. Second to that, I was going to ask, aren't they going to be doing something to Federal Highway? Are they doing something to that road, that roadway in that area where we were? Maybe Board Member Llewellyn would know since she's on MPO. There's several projects that are coming up for the MPO, but I don't think there's anything directly there in the immediate future. There might be something down the road. Okay. I don't have the list in front of me at the moment. I'd have to go back and look. Okay. I know there's something closer to Hollywood that's being done. Okay. I was just misremembering then. I was making sure. But yeah, as long as there's nothing coming up that would immediately, interfere with that project, yes, I'm in favor of it.
Thank you. Vice Chair?
Thank you. Thank you. I understand everybody's comments about where the funding's come from and this and that, but I really think, after traveling around, with my granddaughters and stuff, watch football, I think that putting this, the downtown area that you're talking about, Chair James, that the crosswalks and the stones and stuff like that, like we've had before, I think that you're on track with that. On both those streets there and possibly even Sterling Road as well, because I think it's nice for our downtown area to have a little bit more of that type of look to show that we're not just straight roads down US 1. I think the funding can be something we can talk about. It doesn't always have to be in the arts and public places, and it could be in the CRA. I think between the city manager and executive director, Michael Joe, I'm sure we come up with an answer that will satisfy the whole commission. So, but I think you're right on that. I think it needs to go. That road needs that stuff needs to go in there.
All right, thank you. Do you want them to provide, because I think they had quotes, if I'm not mistaken. I know Mr. Dr. Chen probably won't know off the top of his head, but I thought we had quotes for more than just those two. I thought we had one for Sterling, for Dania Beach Boulevard, and for Northwest, and we chose to start with those two.
I think we should have. I think that any of those roads that are important, that are seen, coming down there, even Griffin Road is too big because of the massive intersections there. But, the things, I think all those major intersections like that, I think it makes it stand out. I think it makes it look good for us. you know, I don't, like I say, I don't want to get in the middle of the argument of where the funding comes from, but I agree with the project itself. I just think that it needs to be defined somewhere, whether or not the Arts and Public Places donates money to the CRA to do that, to help out because of that. Then we don't, instead of us making a choice with the CRA, you know, we can make a CRA project if we can find the funding. I mean, that's up to the two, our other persons to do that, or you, Chair, to figure it out, bring it back to us. But I'm in agreement to it. I just think it'd look great. I really think if we can find some other extra funding, even on top of that, I think we need to do more than two intersections. I think we need to look around the city and maybe do something that really makes it stand out. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Mayor Davis, Board Member Davis, I done promoted you, girl.
Yeah, the mayor, she's next.
Mayor for the night.
All right. Well, I just want to first say that I'm very much in favor of the crosswalks. I wanted to make a distinction between what I went through on my agenda review, because I know that there was one on Northwest 1st Street and also one on Southeast 5th Street. So I don't know if these are the same or if we're talking about different decorative crosswalks, but I know that we're in the process of doing some, you know, in the city, but this was on the city agenda and not for the CRA. So I'm just not sure the difference between the decorative crosswalks. So I wanted to get some clarification on that, but I'm absolutely in favor of them. I think it's a great way to beautify our city and do what we've been talking about in our strategic plan as far as the beautification of our city. I just want to make sure that, you know, which one we're talking about and how they're different from the ones that we're already doing that are on the commission agenda.
I'm gonna ask the city manager because it's dealing with the commission agenda as far as those roads. But I do know that we had a separate project, like an MPO project that gave us funding and monies for it. And they did road improvements in the Northwest section. And one of those is exactly, you know, Northwest 5th. This is something separate that was just on Federal Highway that wasn't funded or had any funding from the MPO or anyone else. City manager, am I correct when I say that?
Muted.
You're correct, Mayor. Those other projects have other funding identified, including the one on 5th has an art component grant that we were able to get from Walmart. This project is not funded. It's not in the budget, but I think whether it's via Art in Public Places or whether it's via grants. I know this morning when I met with Commissioner Llewellyn, she had said, hey, maybe those monies that we can recover from the Mermaid project. So, and I don't know where we're at with the city, with the deputy city attorney. But I think the key is to see how we can work together and look at different avenues of funding and see if we're able to recover the monies from the Mermaid project.
Okay. Did that help you, Board Member Davis?
Yes, that clarified. Thanks so much, Manager and Mayor.
My pleasure.
No problem. Board Member Llewellyn?
Yeah, just one more thing regarding the bids that we had previously, not the bids, the estimates that we had previously. Those were done like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I think we need to get updated.
Absolutely. I mean, we were happy to get that.
Things have changed significantly. Prices have gone up. We need to make sure that we're looking at this and getting a true picture of it, because something that was given to us 3 years ago is certainly not going to be the same now. And, you know, especially if we're talking about doing multiples of these, we need to make sure that we see how much is there. So, but yeah, I don't really care where the money comes from. I just know that we shouldn't be taking it out of the budget. I'd rather not spend the money from the CRA who already needs money. I'd rather see it come from someplace that we can get it, you know.
Move this forward. All right, so we're going to move this forward. Mr. Chin, if you can bring us back some estimates, and you can look back at the documents to kind of serve as a guideline, or ask Keisha or Kathleen, they were very involved in that process, and then bring us back prices, options, so we can then choose what makes the most sense for us. Is that okay?
Okay. I will follow up for further discussion that will lead to an action.
Thank you. And then the other thing about of those crosswalks is that first, all the stops need to be ADA accessible. And I think that we did that, although we never completed the project, we did start by doing that. The next discussion topic is At Home Dania Beach Phase 2. Dr. Chen?
Okay. Just for a brief general background on this, this is a topic that we've had some initial discussion on through 2 or 3 meetings, including identification that the CRA is currently holding 5 lots that are buildable lots. The addresses are listed in the memo. I'll just quickly give a description. Northwest 14th Way, 137 Northwest 4th Avenue, 608 West Dania Beach Boulevard, Old Griffin Road, and 56 Northwest 8th Avenue. Those are the 5 parcels that are the subject of our discussion. And basically, I've tried to cover the basis of questions and issues that have been raised in the discussions to date. I think it's important to point out that the Florida Housing Coalition, which is the advisors to the governor and the Florida legislature on affordable housing issues and resources, according to the Florida Housing Coalition, they describe 2 levels of affordable housing that fall within the definition of affordable housing. One of them is low-income housing, which is 80% AMI. The other is workforce affordable housing, which is moderate income housing, which meets the standards of 120% AMI. These are both recognized today by the Florida Housing Coalition as definitions of affordable housing. Okay. The difference between the 2 of them is the allowable income for to qualify as buyers of this affordable housing. I've put in a table that reflects what the defined levels of income for these housing standards are. I have focused on the 4-person household because we are trying to provide housing for families of some sort. So the 4-person, 80% AMI, a 4-person household is limited to $70,400 of household income to qualify for this level of housing. And that's low income, 80% AMI. In terms of moderate income, 120% AMI, the maximum allowable household income is $105,600. These are both set by by HUD, based on Broward County specific standards and wages. The other side of affordable housing is the actual cost of the housing. Just to let you know, in terms of today's standards, the moderate income housing, which is again 120% AMI, the maximum sales price of a qualified moderate income house is $261,000. The low income affordable housing, the maximum allowable sales price today is $212,000. Those are the standards that are applicable according to HUD today for Broward County. There has been questions and there continues to be questions. And I can tell you for either type of housing, whether it is low income or moderate income, there's always a challenge with the economics of building these types of projects. This is why there's a deficiency of both of them. However, under today's market, which it can only be described as exceptionally hot construction environment, according to the economics of building and developing and selling a house, I've had a table in the center of page 2 of my memo The right-hand column reflects the economics of low-income affordable housing. The left-hand column shows the moderate income housing. And just to give you a quick rundown, starts with the sales price. Moderate income, maximum sales price is $261,000. Low income, the maximum sales price is $212,000. There are sales costs associated with any kind of housing, and sales cost for either types of housing is estimated as typically about 3%. So for 3%, that would say for moderate income housing, that is $7,800. And for low income housing, because it's 3% of a smaller value, is $6,360. Excuse me, $6,360. That means the total net sales proceeds from these two types of housing. For moderate income, it's $253,000. That is net revenue to offset the cost of development. The low income affordable housing, the net income or net revenue is $205,640. From there, if you look at the different types of costs that goes into building a house, you have hard costs, which are basically the construction cost. I will point out to you that the unit cost of these two types of houses, low income housing tends to be at $110 per square foot, and moderate income tends to be $122 per square foot. The reason there is a gap between those two types of those two numbers is because typically the fit and finish of a low income house is of a lower cost standard than a moderate income house. So that's the difference of approximately $12 per square foot in the construction of these houses. The land costs I've left blank because basically the land cost is the last piece that gets considered into the construction cost of these products. Soft costs. Soft costs are everything from architectural designs, engineering, hydrological tests, any types of things that are associated with the various, basically engineering of these houses, as well as things like legal fees associated with securing financing and closing costs, title review, those types of things. Typically, that runs at about $16 per square foot. Again, that per square foot price is the same for either type of housing. Construction management. You hire a contractor, that's the $122 or $110 per square foot, but someone has to manage the project, and that's basically to make sure that materials and so forth and schedules are kept from the general contractor to result in a completed house. Construction management cost is one piece of this. A second piece of this is holding costs, because as houses become completed and so forth, there is a holding period that you have to experience to the point where the house can actually be closed for sale and the new buyer take over occupancy. That total cost is about $19 per square foot, and it's the same dollar per square foot for each type of housing. So the subtotal of those costs for moderate income housing, it's $235,500 to build a moderate income house, and it's $217,500 to build a low income affordable house. Then you have financing costs. All of these, all those above costs in the column, there is a cost to bring money to the table during the construction period and the holding period of these houses. It seems that on a market trend today, that's roughly about 5.5%, 5.5%. And again, I applied that to both houses. That cost is the same, although the 5.5% is on $235,000. That's $12,900 versus 5.5% at the $217,000 price. that's $11,900. So there's about $1,000 more financing costs associated with the moderate income house. The whole bottom line is the total cost of a moderate income house is approximately $248,500. The cost for a low income house is approximately $229,500. And if you take that and subtract that from the net proceeds of a sale, under a moderate income house, there is approximately $4,700, almost $5,000 of net profit that can go to land cost or other types of expenses associated with the house. Because remember, both these analyses are done with no land costs considered. The low income affordable house is $23,900 in deficit. Now, what that is showing is that with zero land cost, and by the way, this is not a revenue number, this is a cost number. So in terms of the low income affordable house, the land cost that is there, our land by appraisal is worth in excess of $11 per square foot. And you can see the size of the lots in the table on the page, first page of my memo. Basically, the square footages, the square footages of our lots run about 5,000 to 8,000, 9,000 square feet. So these lots are worth $55,000, $60,000 up to maybe $70,000 and $80,000 per lot. That's the market value of those lots by appraised value. So let's just take a midpoint and let's say $60,000 for a lot value. So for the low income affordable house, we would have to put in a lot that's worth $60,000. And somewhere there has to be a subsidy of the $23,800 loss in construction in order to build that house. So basically what this reflects is that there is a deficiency of a total of about $83,000, $84,000 to construct a low income house today. Okay. Now you could do, the same type of math and so forth in association with the moderate income house. I can tell you that the lot is worth about the same. It's $50,000, $60,000 for the value of our lot. According to the math in the construction line item construction estimate, is that there's approximately $5,000 available to go somewhere, perhaps to the cost of the land. And that's the mathematics, that's the financial side of building, developing, and selling these two types of properties. I can also point out to you that each of these costs are typical market costs associated with these types of housing. Again, low income and moderate income. These costs are typical with these types of houses. However, depending on the actual company, the actual developer of these houses and their resources, some of these costs may not be experienced depending on the buyer. And an easy one to see is perhaps if you have an experienced affordable housing developer, the chances are pretty good. They actually have a waiting list of buyers for these houses. So there may not be a marketing cost to sell the house if you're dealing with an experienced affordable housing developer. Okay, but again, that comes down to the specific company and their resources and their experience and their presence in the market for these types of products. Okay, the end conclusion is to develop and sell low income housing. That's the 80% AMI. It requires free land and it requires a construction cost subsidy. That is not exactly the case with moderate income housing. And that's just the financial analysis of those two types of properties.
Can we discuss this?
You can, sure, at any time.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I wish to speak first. I don't see anyone's hands up, so I'll take this time and first start out by saying I am disappointed. I'm disappointed that what was presented to us was a presentation more so on why we should do market rate versus different creative, innovative ideas on how we can get done what the plan was originally intended for the at-home Dania Beach program. So I went back and I dug up the original at-home Dania Beach program so I can find out what it said versus why I'm hearing something different from you. It says the community redevelopment plan shall provide for the development of affordable housing in the area or state. It goes on to talk about, affordable housing entities functioning with the geographic boundaries, and that is concerned with affordable housing. And the goal is to eradicate conditions of slum and blight. The mission statement and the vision statement and the statement of values all contribute to affordable housing. And then I further went on to understanding the requirements that you had to have in order to qualify for one of these homes, which included first responders, educators, and if you work in public service. Well, I went and pulled up their salaries as well. And some of, not all, but many of the certified firefighters / paramedics start at $48,000. That's on governmentjobs.com. We talk about certified reserve deputy sheriff, $19 an hour. Child protective investigator, $48 an hour. You go around to teachers, they make $47 an hour. So even if you had two teachers, they wouldn't qualify for these homes because it would be unaffordable at the 120% AMI. And that's a concern for me. We already have market rate homes that have been sitting there and haven't had any progress within the last year. It's been the same since it's been with the previous director here. We haven't had any movement on those properties. We already have diverse housing. I think we can all agree that housing is a nationwide issue. Affordable housing is. And I know that Commissioner Being Fur is trying to put in $40 million of money to Broward County. I want to ask you a question. Have Executive Director Chin, have you spoken with Ralph Stone? Have you had a meeting with him to discuss this?
Actually, that is also in my memo. And I guess first of all, moderate income housing is classified as affordable housing.
I'm speaking about 80% AMI affordable housing.
I'm just saying that 80% is not specified in the CRA plan or anything else. All right. Affordable housing is addressed.
Have you had a conversation with Ralph Stone?
I have. And I have with his staff.
Regarding this?
And in terms of that,
tomorrow, I have a meeting with him tomorrow. I know that he can give up to $40,000 in down payment assistance to first-time home buyers. Although he gave us 20, he has the ability and the discretion to give us more than that. And that's what I'm going to speak on with him on tomorrow. I know that, and even Vice Chair can attest to the market right now because, you're into real estate and how it fluctuates. And it's not normal right now. And I would prefer to wait until it normalizes to figure out what we are going to do. I just don't feel comfortable enough to open this up to all Broward County residents. It's not a tiered approach to how we are going to prioritize people. The first priority should be the CRA. The second should be the rest of the residents in Dania Beach. And then if all else fails, you should open it up to Broward County residents. I didn't see a tiered approach in this. And that's concerning for me because we are supposed to be serving the communities and those people should be able to have access to home ownership, not just renters, but home ownership opportunities. I spoke with several developers who are willing to help us cut costs by providing services for free. We also have ARPA funding that can be used for affordable housing. We haven't tapped into or even looked at if we could do this type of a project. You have innovative types of ideas like container homes that are being built now in the city of Hollywood. There are so many innovative ideas when it comes down to affordable housing. And thank God that I went to the FRA conference because I was able to see the great things that Miramar is doing with affordable housing. I went to the Homes organization that is in Fort Lauderdale, and they showed us how we can make things work with affordable housing. I also spoke to the person who did our first round, and they said if we gave them the lot, that they would be ready to go. So I just wish that there was a better focus on what we are trying to do, who we are trying to empower. Like, how is this empowering the community when the community can't afford to live in the community? It's not right. We have market rate housing. We have the 3 lots at Smith Store. Let's do the market rate housing there. Let's find a way. And if you need me to do the work, I'll do the work and go find a way to do affordable housing in the communities so we can promote home ownership and sustainability. Vice Chair. You're muted.
I'm getting it.
There
Okay,
you go.
well, anyhow, going over this whole thing, I heard everything you said. And if there's a way, I remember this was a meeting or two ago, Chairman. I mentioned to you, if you can find a way to do this, bring it to us, but don't just talk about it. Just bring it to us. Lay it out on a piece of paper. If you got developers that are willing to donate $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, you got the Beam Furs working on something. They're going to get us $40,000, or whoever you spoke about, give us $40,000, and they want to start purchasing some of the land and then building on it and take some of that money back. I have a hard time representing the city, all of the CRA, and taking all of those $400,000 worth of lots on just those 5 and giving it away. I can't think that's fair to the rest of the CRA area. I don't have a problem with building the houses. I told you that before. I don't have a problem with putting 5 homes up there. I brought up ways of making homes go together and trying to make them a little bit different. And nobody wanted to put up the townhouses. They didn't want to put up side by side. You didn't want to hear that before. Now you're talking about container. Yes, you did. And you said now you don't want to talk
I'm in
about
favor of the townhomes.
Well, when you start connecting, remember we talked about, I think it was Rob, we were taking 2 or 3 lots and trying to buy one in the middle, and we were going to put 4 lots together and then make them, or we can make them more affordable. Well, I apologize.
I'm in favor of the townhomes.
But I thought that we were talking about putting them together where we could make them more affordable, where we had
Absolutely.
4 lots and we could put 6 houses on it and make them thinner and better. I mean, if there's ways that can be done, then we take those lots and break them down to where we were given 25,000 like it was before, and some other assistance. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with giving away an $80,000 lot or a $100,000 lot. That's my only issue. I mean, if we go back to a place where we can make it good for everybody involved, I mean, there's other places in the CRA besides there that we can put this money that would help out. But I mean, I'm not trying to create a problem for anybody or anything on this. I just don't think we have a plan. I think, and the other thing too is prices are so high right now. And just to tell you, I've done a little research too. I called, I'm not gonna mention the name of the place that sells the lumbers and stuff like that, but they were discussing a piece of property in Dania they were asking about. And he came up to me and asked me about this. We were talking about price per square foot. And he told me, and I think Executive Director Michael Chin, I don't know where your numbers are at. I think they're very, very low, because he told me it's over $205 a square foot to build a house. Now, it doesn't say that they have to be, I think that was just for storefronts, not houses where you have bathtubs and shower stalls and tile on the floor and everything else. So, I mean, I think the cost factor right now is very high. I'm trying to build a couple of houses right now too, and I'm slowing down because I don't know if I want to pay the price to build a house that I could have built a year ago for $250,000. It's going to cost me $400,000 today. I'm going to tell you what I recommend. Okay, this is what I recommend to the CRA. I think we need to table this for a whole year. I really do. I think that you need to re-examine everything, and you need to bring it back at a different time. If prices drop, if prices don't drop, then maybe we do sell the lots, or maybe we figure out a different way to do it. But right now, it's unaffordable. Even for not only unaffordable, but low income or not. We can't do it right now with what we have. If you can get, if people want to come together and put a pot together of money that we can build on, we can re-examine this whole thing in another year when maybe the economy gets back on a level again, then I'm all for listening all over again. But right now, we're just going to argue back and forth because, you know, some want this, some want that. But right now, it isn't affordable. You know that, I know that, but I don't want to. I don't want to throw it away. But I don't think that I think we need to move on and wait another year and see what happens. And maybe along with that, we could talk to some of the residents that own a lot of property on off of First Street and stuff, and see if they want to throw their land in as well, and see if we can combine their land to build. And say maybe they want to give a lower price and move some and get some more, you know, put some nice 2 or 3 story buildings with more apartments, so they make it low income or affordable. I mean, there's a lot of things we can do, but we're taking an approach at this where we're trying to force this out, and it's too expensive right now. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Board Member Ottman.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page as Vice Chair Salvino. I think this isn't a good time for this, and it has to wait 6 months or a year. I think that's probably what makes the most sense. And I'll also endorse what you were saying, because I remember it very clearly. You know, people were saying there was pushback on doing like the thinner homes and closer together. And I remember there was also members of the community that were saying, we want single family homes. So I don't know if that's going to change. I think it probably should change because there are a lot of other options out there. But maybe that's something we could do throughout the year is really, you know, it would be for the executive director to brainstorm, look at all the things from the outlandish to the reasonable, everything in between, and see if there's a good fit for us. And then when the market kind of starts to become a little bit more predictable again, we can move forward with the project or some version of it.
Good with that.
I agree with that too. I really do. I agree with those sentiments. I think that, you know, when I tried to bring it up for us to wait the meeting before like 6 months, I think that, I don't know if it was recording the records, but I'm in favor of tabling it and really having these community meetings with the residents, building a relationship with the Ford family, the Collins family, the Milton Jones family. They own a lot of that property right there. So if we are going, you need to have a very good relationship with them. You know, the CRA, the head of it, has to have a really good relationship with them, and because what we do is going to impact the values and everything else that they're going to be able to do in their properties as well, because it's close and near to it. So after these next two, I know we have the 3 to table it for a year, but I'm going to allow Board Member Llewellyn to say her piece.
Thank you. I'm in agreement that with what the Vice Chair was saying. I was on this, that's actually what I was thinking as well, but my only concern is that from the things that I'm hearing, and I don't know if anybody else has heard the same things. The concern is that the prices are not going to go down. It's the costs are not going to go down. This is going to stay this way for quite some time. Property values are going to be up, especially in South Florida. So, you know, we can table it and that's fine. I just think that we need to, if we are in the same situation 6 months or a year from now, we need to seriously consider what's going to be done with those properties, because, you know, it's not as, I completely agree with the Vice Chair. You can't just give away the land. It's valuable, and you can't do that. It's not fair to the other residents of the entire city, in the CRA as well as the rest of the city, to do something like that. So it makes, it's fine. I'm perfectly fine with tabling it for a period of time, but I do think we need to be prepared for the fact that there may not be a change, and we need to realize what we may have to do at that point. That's all.
Vice Chair, you're muted. You're still muted. Oh, I don't know.
Why don't you let Commissioner Davis go first, and I'll go after her. Is that all right?
Sure. Go ahead, Commissioner Davis.
Well, I was just going to echo the sentiments. I have been having dinners with realtors. I've been having meetings as of yesterday with people who are in construction and people who are building, and the costs are just astronomical, out of skyrocketed, and where they were building before a year ago, the cost and the binds that they're being put in for slowing the construction is just unreasonable at this time. But I did hear the opposite, so maybe we need to listen to the gossip a little bit more, because I did speak with the realtor yesterday, and she said, you wait a year from now, and I don't think that, I think you'll see a difference. I think you'll start to see these foreclosures. One, she said, because a lot of people who couldn't pay rent, or where the government protected people who weren't able to pay their mortgages and things like that, they're going to have to start paying those mortgages, and they're not going to be able to afford them. You're going to see some foreclosures that you don't see now that you will see a year from now. So there's a lot of different things going on, but all of it together just lets me know that we do probably need to step back for a moment and take a little bit of time and make sure that we're making the right decision at the right time, so that we're not just giving away the land. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Absolutely. Vice Chair, are you closing it up, or can
No,
I?
I just want to end it with this if I can, Chair James. I know that, I bought and sell property for 20 years, and I've seen the market go up. I've seen it drop way down, go up, go way down. And I'm sure that everybody's lived a life that's 50 or over has seen this happen. Okay. So, in consideration of what Board Member Llewellyn said, Commissioner and Board Member Davis says, they're both on like a little bit of an opposite page, but it's both true. It could be both true. And what I'm trying to get to is that we can't give our property away. We need to sit on it, whether it's 6 months or even if it's 5 years. I mean, it's just sooner or later it's going to turn. Okay. And when it turns, we can be ready at that time. We're not going to it's not going to change. The land's not going to go away. And when it changes, then we jump on the wagon and then we build it. Then by that time, at least, and then things change in a year, that'd be great. Then we can turn around. I personally would like to see things level off, because I think prices are out of control, and I think it's not good for our economy. But the thing is that once it changes, and this gives us time for our director to work with some of the people that you can help, that you talked about, give them the names and let him get these directors, see what kind of commitment they're going to make, find out what other funding or grants or whatever we get together at the same time. Then we can put them with the lots that we have. Maybe some of those grants or the donations will pay for some of the lot, where we're not giving away all the residents money, but we're still helping and get people into homes, or multiple homes if we build them in, and not single family. We get them out different ways. So I'm all for it. I think we just need to postpone it and revisit it again in 6 months or a year, and don't waste the time. If the economy's the same, we just pass on and put it another 6 months out. That's my opinion. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Before Executive Director Chin takes back over, I just want to add the only thing that I feel we will be able to do right now, especially if we are not giving away certain land, is to see how much we can actually get from, because they're already slated market rate, the Smith Store properties. We have 3 properties right there. That's something that we can work on with housing. It's not low income. It's not 80% AMI. So we don't really have much to lose in that aspect. I love the idea of sitting on it, but during that sitting, we have to do a lot of research. And so I'm going to ask Mr. Chin to bring us back, not for discussion, but just for our information, what other cities are doing as far as affordable. I know that Miramar is doing a huge affordable housing project, but I think they use government state funding. And instead of saying that the taxpayers, we would have to, use taxpayer dollars, I would see what type of program we could do with the ARPA funds as well, because we have not even considered, the ARPA funds and how that is going to impact the CRA, or what we could do. Some of these projects that we're bringing up each meeting, we can possibly fund some of those through the infrastructure bill and the affordable housing bill. So I just asked to really do the research, sit down with different developers, different organizations, and bring us back some options, or continue to update us with some options that will be, knowledgeable enough to have a discussion and knowingly discuss what other cities are doing. Director Chin.
Yes, thank you. And again, I follow at the directions of the board, and I'm happy to do so. So whatever you conclude from tonight's discussion, I am in complete alignment with your decision. That's fine. I do want to make a couple of comments just to correct some things that were said that were frankly inaccurate. I spent a fair amount of time with Ralph Stone and his group regarding affordable housing and incentives and so forth. First of all, and there is a summary of this conversation as well as other resources in the memo that I wrote. There is no county program for moderate income housing, whether it's for the developer or the buyer. There are no programs. In terms of low income housing, there is $20,000 to $40,000 available to the buyer of low income affordable housing. However, it is specifically excluded to go to the developer for the cost of building the house. So I find it a bit bizarre that Broward County is so focused on building affordable housing, and it's a good program. I have nothing against affordable housing, please. But I find it really strange that Broward County will find ways to subsidize the affordable housing buyer to buy a house that they will not assist for the construction of. Because all of the programs in Broward County, none of them can go to the benefit of the builder or developer of the house. That's the problem that's the problem. That's why there's such a deficiency of low-income housing, because there's no assistance with that. And then finally, just to mention, because I think it's so good that you brought up the concept of the FRA. That's the Florida Redevelopment Association annual conference. There was a session specifically allocated to the discussion of affordable housing. I found it very interesting that in that discussion, there were 4 case studies done for affordable housing. Of the 4 studies, 3 of them were workforce affordable housing, moderate income. Only one of the projects was low income housing, and it was for 54 houses. And the financing and financial resources that were brought to bear on that was it was a federal program where the feds can provide 4% tax credits. And to qualify for that, the city first has to write a check for $1 million to qualify the development to receive 4% income tax credits. The income tax credits are then received by the city or the developer, and then they're sold to investors. The proceeds of that sale contribute to the equity to build affordable housing. So between the city's $1 million and the proceeds of selling the 4% bonds, the 4% tax credits, that equals approximately 50% of the total project cost. The other 50%, then the city issues a bond to pay for the 50% that's how the debt is raised for the 50%. So the city has to put in $1 million plus then the cost of raising the bond issue, which is an expensive proposition as well. So the city ends up with about $2 million into the deal of the sale of the 4% tax credits contribute to that. And again, the 4% tax credit program also is looking for projects of more units. So there was a 54 unit project that was able to attract those tax credits. And other than that, the remaining 3 out of the 4 case studies done at the FRA were all based on workforce affordable housing. So anyway, just wanted to correct some things that might have been misunderstood from some of the discussions. And again, I'm here to follow whatever directions you concur to do.
Thank you. So are we in agreement to tabling this for a year and bringing back information and having Director Shan go and do the research and bring us back information on everything I stated before this?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, great. Awesome. Oh, and with that discussion, we have about 15 minutes till we have to be back here again. So, meeting adjourned.
Comments. Wait a minute. You can do our comments.
Oh, I didn't.
Wake up.
Board member, you have something to say today, huh?
I know,
Vice Chair?
I just thought your help might.
Board member Davis.
I have nothing to say. I talked enough. Joyce?
Board member Davis.
Not any comments, just want to say thank you for my business academy pin. I think those are really nice and I wish you continued success on the program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board member Llewellyn.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Board member Ottman. She's taking her no. Vice Chair.
Yeah, I'm just. Oh, wait.
You're
I'm
muting
looking
on and
forward
off.
to the day. I know, my fingers twitching. I'm looking forward to the day after dark and excited about bringing all the entertainment and the Christmas. What day is that on, Michael? We're doing the Christmas for the CRA.
That will be
Doing that,
the
right?
first Saturday of December, December 4th.
Okay, so I just want to bring that up in case anybody's listening. December 4th, we have our Christmas lighting, and that's all. Thank you.
Awesome. And no further, the only comment that I would like to say is that I think that between now and next meeting, we need to start discussing one-year evaluations. I think it's been a year since Mr. Chin has been here. So the same thing that we did with Manager Garcia, I am requesting that we do the same thing with Director Chin, which is the same thing we did with our former executive director. So I'll be bringing that for discussion and possible action next month for us to finalize how it's going to work. And with that, meeting is adjourned.